Early trials show promising signs for a coronavirus vaccine that's being developed by a company known as Moderna. Now, the company is now proceeding on an accelerated timetable to move on to the second phase of testing. They're expected to test 600 people in this next trial. But in the first trial, they only tested a handful of healthy patients, and here's what they found. The findings are based on results from the first 8 people who each received 2 doses of the vaccine starting in March. Those people, healthy volunteers, made antibodies that were then tested in human cells in the lab and were able to stop the virus from replicating, the key requirement for an effective vaccine. The levels of those so-called neutralizing antibodies match the levels found in patients who had recovered after contracting the virus in the community. So this is super exciting news. And what they did in the initial trial is they tested various doses of it. So for instance, 3 doses of the vaccine were tested, low, medium, and high. These initial results were based on tests of the low and medium doses. The only adverse effect at those doses was redness and soreness in one patient's arm where the shot was given. But at the highest dose, 3 patients had fever, muscle and headaches. The symptoms went away after a day. And to be honest with you, I mean, when it comes to the flu vaccine, there are people who get that side effect. They'll get a little sick for a short period of time and then they'll recover. So it sounds like based on their very limited first study, that was what a few of the respondents experienced. Now, here's the wrinkle to the story. An NBC White House correspondent tweeted that Moncef Slaoui, named last week to lead the White House push for a coronavirus vaccine, resigned as director of Moderna to take the job, but reportedly has more than $10 million in company stock options. Moderna has received more than $400 million from the federal government to assist with vaccine trials. Now, after he tweeted that, apparently there was a response, and this is what the update is. An HHS spokesperson tells NBC that Slaoui has directed the divestiture of his equity holdings in Moderna, and that sale should be effective tomorrow morning. Just to, contextualize everything. I think people should be aware of everything that's happening behind the scenes as well.
Yeah. So I don't know that that has any bearing on whether the vaccine is going to work or not. It's just an interesting note. If Trump had a real stake in it, he'd be talking about it as much as he's talking about hydroxychloroquine, and he'd be pretending he already took it. So I don't know about, if there's any shenanigans here with the government, but let me tell you the context of the drug and where they are in the process. And there's a bunch of good news in here. They already tried it with animals, and so far so good on that stage of testing. Then this was the test to make sure that it was safe. The next test is to see if it's effective and how effective it is. So we haven't gotten to the best part yet, but it's so important to clear those 2 hurdles. Otherwise, you can't get to that third part. And even in the test to see if it's safe, it seems to have helped some people. So that's the initial good signs that we're seeing here. Another good piece of good news is they think that they might be able to get through the next stage. Normally, these stages would take much longer. But obviously here we got a worldwide pandemic, and so this is going quicker than it normally would. And they might be able to do those tests by July. That would be great news. And if it works, I mean, it is still, look, same thing with hydroxy. It turns out hydroxy was unsafe, right? Unless you have lupus or malaria, and please consult your doctor, and was counterproductive. In this case, that's why don't jump the gun. Let's see how things go. I don't know that you could get it anyway. You can't get it. But still, let's be excited about the possibility that there's hope for a fix here without getting overexcited and getting carried away and thinking this thing is over, because we just don't know. There's a reason why they go through those different stages of testing. Let the scientists do their job, and if it comes back great after stage 3, then fantastic.
Right, fantastic. And then we can focus on trying to persuade anti-vaxxers to take this vaccine. So that'll be a fight later in the future. But yeah, I think overall, based on what we've seen in the preliminary trial, looks like good news, and that's awesome. We need it.
Yeah, I mean, you have people like Eric Trump now saying, "Oh yeah, I bet this so-called disease, I'm paraphrasing here, goes away right after the election." Right? Well, schmuck, first of all, your dad is the president. So if it's a conspiracy, presumably the head of the government is the one doing the conspiracy, and your dad is the one that put out the guidelines, on social distancing. So it makes no sense at all, right? But by the way, if it turns out these guys do get the vaccine and it happens, the stage 3 happens around July, I don't know how long it would take to get to market, but it would presumably get to market in the fall. So then things would get better. If that timeline, it really does happen. And guys, I'm not an expert on it. So, I'm just telling you what I read in the articles in terms of the timeline. If that does happen, then knuckleheads like Eric will be like, "Oh yeah, you see that, man? It got cured in the fall. Just like I said it would, man. I wish the guy in charge of the government would stop these conspiracies." Hey, idiot, that's your dad. Oh, yeah, whatever, man.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.